When you speak, you step up to the mic, state your name and address, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. The first person signed up to speak is William Fatiga.
Good evening. As you heard, my name is Bill Fatiga. I live here in Oswego in the 7th Ward. I'm here with Diane Fernandez. We're part of the pickleball community, as we call ourselves, and we're here to thank you, Mayor, thank the whole council, especially Councilor Cordino, who was the front runner of us getting our 4 pickleball courts at Shapiro Park. They look great. If you haven't been by, please come by and check it out. I think you'll be quite pleased with what you see. What was at one time a tennis court that was very seldomly used now is the home of our 4 pickleball courts. They're used pretty much daily, weather permitting, and I just quickly wanted to come by to say thank you all.
Great, we appreciate that and appreciate all the volunteers that helped paint and do some of the other work. Second speaker is Tom Unker. Unker?
Good evening, Mayor, councilors. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. So my name's Tom Uncher. I work for Brookfield Renewable. I'm the Vice President of U.S. Operations. I'm here to talk about an agenda item tonight. That is the vote on the award of the O&M contract for the High Dam project, which Brookfield or its predecessor has had for the last 30 years or so. So the award, if the award goes to, I believe it's Northbrook is the name of the vendor, and this is not a reflection on that vendor. I really am concerned about the public safety, because by awarding the contract to a third party, to a non-Brookfield entity, because we've operated it for the last 30 years, you're really taking away the most effective tool we have from a public safety standpoint on the lower Oswego River. So we believe that there's a good probability that sometime in the near future that will result in a fatality. So please let me explain. Brookfield operates 140 hydro projects in the U.S. And literally worldwide, there's probably thousands of them. But in the U.S., this type of arrangement is not uncommon, where we operate on a river system like the Oswego River, and we have a different owner operate a plant in the middle of that or at the head of it. So with, and typically the hydro plants are 5-10 miles apart. So there's a good stretch of river between them. There's some time to react between the two facilities. Even in that case, there's lots of coordination. There's agreements between the parties, how we're going to behave under these certain scenarios. And even in those situations, inevitably, there's an event that takes place at an upriver facility that causes an event downstream. And again, this is maybe a 5 or 10 mile stretch between the two facilities. So the issue, or what ultimately may happen, is we might have a compliance event at the lower facility. So a pond level excursion, a base flow excursion, which we have all that here between these two facilities. But the result is that, we report that to the regulator, we do an investigation, we put together corrective actions. Put corrective actions in place, whether that's, better communication, additional equipment to monitor, et cetera. So we, that's over with. We try to make sure that doesn't happen again. Okay, so scenario 2 is to take those hydro facilities and put them within a stone's throw of each other, so a quarter-mile away. So in that case, again, you have a different operator, two entities operating two hydro plants, and the communication, the coordination has to be at a much higher level than that first scenario. And even with the best intent, best communication, best plans, best protocols, inevitably, you're going to have compliance events. And I can tell you, with 140 facilities, that is not an uncommon event where you have a compliance issue. So again, but the outcome is the same. You have an event that you have to report to your regulator. You do an investigation. You prepare a corrective action plan. You provide that to the regulator. You implement the corrective action plans, and you attempt to do better. But it's a very challenging environment to have two projects that are, within a quarter mile of each other, mainly because there's really no time, like the flow time between the two projects is so short that, there's just no way, kind of after the fact, to respond to an event at the Upriver facility. And even if you know ahead of time, it's a challenge. So now, the third scenario is what we have here in Oswego. We have High Dam and Varick, which are that second scenario, coupled with anywhere from 10, 20, 50, 100 anglers downstream of the dam, wading in 3 or 4 feet of water. Now you have a bubble that's, again, you can have the best procedures, best protocols, best communication with the upstream operator, and there's going to be a misstep. There's going to be a misstep. In that event, it's not a compliance event anymore. It's a fatality. So, to that end, what I'm asking is that the council, and I'm not sure administratively how to do this, that they table this vote, this is not a reflection on Northbrook. I don't really know them, and we can work with, we can work with any operator, other operator. That's not a problem. That that the vote be tabled, and to that end, I would like to offer that we will continue our 24/7 operation, so from our control center, and if it makes sense, our field operations, or just our operator, I'm not talking about the maintenance of the activities, just the operations, we keep that coupled, we keep the two plants coupled together with our operation through our control center, and Brookfield would take that on at no charge to the city. In addition, and that's a standing offer, and in addition to that, given that we're only, I think our contract expires at the end of the month, so we only have a handful of days here, 6 or 7 days. I would also add that we would continue the contract that we have in place today to work through some of the logistics of this, and we would do that for 30 days at no cost to the city as well. So, again, I just ask that you consider that when you vote tonight, and willing. I don't know if we can take questions here, but I'm willing to answer any questions you have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any counselors have any questions they'd like to have answered? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak during public session? Seeing none, I will close public session, and the regular meeting starts at 7:30.